Hey, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, February 10th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Wilson, a little trigger happy, I guess, on that loud and clear to begin. Great to see, though, at least Bonnie, Wilson, Renzo, Ron, John, Wayne, Scotty, all of our students. Lori, of course, great to see you. Gene, perfect. All right, so let's hop right into it for all of us in social media. Welcome on back. We have the SNDL trade, of course, heading into the afternoon, pushing up or trying to push up higher. Nice pop in the market, actually. I'm looking on my 1-minute chart here. The INDU symbol, Dow Industrial, getting a nice little push heading into the afternoon. Hopefully it stays that way. But, I just actually copied and pasted the news across the trading room and for all of us on social media. There we go. So it's pretty much the pot sector entirely, right? I mean, you heard Fausto talk about it in the morning meeting. He had Tilray, SNDL, of course, this year, Kronos, ACB, like all of these pot stocks on our morning watch list. This was our main focus. Is anybody still in this trade right now as a swing? I know that Monica was talking about this just before. I thought I saw Dave pick up like 45 cents a share on this stock just earlier. Don says right here just now, actually. We'll get to those in a moment, Don. The Riot, the Mara, it looks like he did really well on those just before, too. Anybody still holding on to this SNDL trade, whether it be a swing trade or a day trade right now? Pretty much the news, just all the pot stocks trading higher, potentially amid increased sector interest. Just between Tilray and, what was it? It was Tilray and Canopy Growth, UK distribution agreement. All right, we got Scott saying, I've been holding my ACB swing trade for a little while. John, Skip, Monica, who said earlier, and then James currently up 50 cents a share on this. Incredible. So for the afternoon, I mean, easily we're going to put the pot stocks on our watch list, at least this SNDL. Let's check in with really quickly here, the Tilray, the ACB, all of the others. For how cheap the SNDL is, that has to be like the main focus. Tilray is getting out of a lot of our price ranges as far as the day trade. If anyone's in on the swing trade with Fausto, I know that you folks are killing it there. So yeah, you can see Tilray moving right back up to 60, doing really nicely. I'm sure it's the entire sector alike. MJ dived off after the open, but squeezed up really nicely here heading into the afternoon. So you might happen to see a little bit of a breakout. OGI, stock we've been following for probably the last few days. Kronos, this had a nice pop heading into the early afternoon. That's pretty interesting. I haven't checked in with this stock since really myself yesterday. I've been following the ACB trade from earlier today. I was watching the SNDL myself. Let me jump to Benzinga Pro on this. Just a pretty interesting spike. I don't know if that's like option call sweep or anything like that. So there's nothing here that I see on this Kronos. Pretty interesting spike though. It broke over 1450, moved right up towards 1550, as you can see here. Looks pretty strong. I don't know about you, but it looks pretty strong to me. So the SNDL, I definitely will put that on our main list. The Kronos trade, I'll kind of put on there too. Check out ACB. I don't know if I did that just before. It's like kind of slugging along up towards 18, making a weaker move compared to Kronos, kind of in line with like what we saw from MJ. All right. I also just got from Benzinga Pro here, since I'm looking at it right now. I have my signals page up. This is not a pot stock. We'll check in with the other pot stocks probably at the tail end of this meeting. But this ZYNE is getting a nice push, new high of the day heading into the close. I saw one of us call this out just before, I think Terry, live inside our trading room. So great call from Terry, Benzinga Pro, just gave us the signal there. So for the afternoon, easily we're just going to put this back on our list. ZYNE, we've traded the stock over the last week back from, I think it was just maybe last Thursday, the 3rd. Last Wednesday, or just a week ago. So ended up making a pop and then dropped on the same day, but over time, as you could see, is squeezed up higher day over day over day. And here we are now, probably making its sharpest move heading into this afternoon. So for right now, I would assume for there to be major resistance off of 9. I don't really have my book map, my level 4 up right now. I would just have trust and faith in saying a whole number like $9 would be a big level. 8 was a big level from earlier, but a lot of choppiness from the late morning, early afternoon, and you could see at least just from the volume spike once this came in. Ended up making a nice roundabout up towards 8, and eventually once it broke higher from here, 810 we'll call it, that's when it really took off. All right, so good start to this watch list at least. I do want to go through some other stocks that we ended up trading from earlier in the morning. I know one of us was just commenting on Riot and Mara. I don't have my Bitcoin chart up today. We'll do that tomorrow. How about that? I promise tomorrow, at least heading into Thursday, I'll do like the Bitcoin minute, I like to call it. But we'll check in with Riot, check in with the Mara trades. I know they dived off with Bitcoin earlier today, so Riot down over 4%, but making a nice push though heading into the afternoon. So who was that from just before? That was Don. Don said he made $1.13 on Riot, and then on the sister stock there, Mara, ended up picking up 40 cents. All right, let me just from my phone, I'm going to copy and paste the chart here once we finish up the afternoon meeting for all of us live inside the room. For all of us on social media, if you want to see that chart, come join us. But I will tell you, at least from earlier this morning, yeah, I mean, right around 5 o'clock in the morning, Bitcoin ended up kind of beginning to dive off. And then really from there, it just kept breaking lower. Ended up bouncing right around 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning. So ended up making a very similar move with Mara and Riot, right? It's pretty much what I just explained, right? You could see it on the chart right around 10:45, 11 o'clock. Both Riot and Mara both made a pretty sharp bounce from, you could see Riot here from 33, 5-point bounce. I mean, 6-point bounce plus. Now back up to 38.12. But yeah, I don't mind putting them on the side list. I mean, just given the volatility, it'd be hard to not keep them there for the meantime. If they end up making a sharper move just as I'm going through this meeting, certainly let me know, and I'll pretty much promote them to the main list. All right. What else did we get from earlier today? How about, I mean, really from the top, we'll just go from number one here, top percent gainer up 147% still. Doesn't mean we're going to trade it, but the BPTH, I got to say personally, I don't like trading these stocks too often. These stocks with like crazy ass spreads and, light orders in the book. I really mean that. Just, it's not worth it unless if you have a lot of evidence on the field to make your decision. So, with this, I didn't really watch this at first. I ended up running up into the open. If anyone jumped in from early off the breakout from 10 in pre-market, it was really easy to make some money at that point. But as it kept going up and up and up, that thing's going to come back down. So once it popped right out of the gate, it got halted like 3, 4, 5 times over. You can see like the very tiny gaps there on my chart. Oh my goodness, even here, 1, 2, 3. I can't even count that much right now. So, ended up popping, dropping, as you could see. I jumped in this trade. It was from the late morning. I was in from I think I gotta get my trade manager up right now, actually. I'll tell you my exact entry on this. So I ended up jumping in at 1901. I was in on 200 shares. It was like essentially a 2-minute trade. I made like $1.50 a share. It was very fortunate timing, mind you. Of course, I could have taken a loss there, but I didn't jump to this trade until I ended up having like more than enough evidence to try and take a trade to begin with. So I ended up jumping in at 1901. I got in at 11:08 Eastern time. Right here, pretty much. When it broke over 19, right from this top. Left a lot of money on the table, moved up to basically 22 and came back down. So, ended up picking up decent profit on small share count. At this point now, it's just a dump. So I'm not as interested in this unless if it can make another crazy run up. But, this type of stock ended up making a huge move for us back in early 2019, we recall. Ended up going from like 2 to 70, 5 to 70, something crazy like that. Unfortunately, what happened afterwards? Well, came all the way back down. You don't want to get stuck trying to hold this. It was like similar to GameStop and AMC, all these others. So anytime you see a stock make that extreme of a move up, it's going to come back down hard. So got to be careful. All right, so I guess we will go from top to bottom now at this point. For anything else that moved from earlier, we'll quickly recap it as we skim through. The ANCN jumped the BPTH on the percent gainers list as I was going. So this is up 146% now. Just another one, though, that popped earlier today, dumped all the way back down, got halted on the way down. Normally, that means it's game over. So I'm going to pass on this. You got the warrants for Clover out there up over 103%. I want to check in with the stock itself. So CLVR Clover. All right. So Clover Health, I know has been, one of those new companies that came out over the last, what was it, 2-3 weeks at this point? Maybe, no, not even. You can see on the daily chart. Probably from mid-December. Yeah, December 20th here. Ended up diving off at first, but, ended up making a big pop over the last couple of weeks at least there. Ended up breaking highs early on this morning. So it's been all over the place throughout the day today, but at least for right now, trying to make a run back up. The only thing I don't like about this is just the order book. It's too spread out, too light. It's kind of like that BPTH. So, yeah, for the meantime, I'll kind of keep it on the side. I would love to see the order book fill in more. Then I would really look to trade this a lot further. I know the stock has a lot of hype out there on social media. I don't know if it's the Reddit crowd exactly, but up here comes the SNDL. They're obviously on our list already, but trying to make the move up to 3. So keep a good eye on that if anyone was watching that from earlier, just before. Torch, TRCH, Torchlight Enterprises, I guess, or Energy Resources, they call it. All right, so popped up from earlier today, ended up making a nice double top breakout going into the mid to late morning here, right from like 2:30, we'll call it, 2:35. Pushed up beautifully up towards 3, and at this point now pulling back, so I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot left on the way up here, at least today. Definitely great side list stock to keep in mind for the remainder of this week, likely next. If the volume really craps out tomorrow, then I'll probably not be as interested in it. But, just to see a stock make like a 70% move, 69% move, definitely like to keep it on your side list for the remainder. Check in with it tomorrow morning early in pre-market just to see where it's at. The CGIX was the top percent gainer from the pre-market this morning. Oof. Eesh, the dump. I remember the stock being shortable back in the day a number of years ago when it ended up making like a 65, 70% move. It was a great trade, a great short that day, I remember. It would have made for a great short this morning. Just hard to borrow from TradeStation today. Let's see what else we got here. The IGC, I forgot, pot stock, right? This was the first pot stock that squeezed up back in 2018. Ended up making a nice push heading into the afternoon meeting time here, pretty much. Broke over 350. Very shaky, though, from that point. Not really much on the order book that was filled from earlier here so far. Nothing that really stands out. 350 is the big level to watch, but it's just been so choppy up and down through that price. So you can only hope to see this begin to build up more support and take off very shortly from here. Just because we're familiar with the trade, I'll say I will put IGC on our main list. Kind of slip it alongside the pot stocks here. And really quickly, I know that we always have new members joining us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. So IGC back in 2018, really quick. Just you remember these symbols after like a historic run up like this. This was the first pot stock that took off in the short squeeze of 2018 with all of these trades. Tilray was the most successful, went from like 25 to 300. This was the first. So it's like similar to when we talk about like these coronavirus vaccine stocks. Like I'll always remember the first one that took off, GMPX. This was the first vaccine stock that took off back in early 2020, basically a year ago. Things like that, you'll always tend to remember. All right, well, it's not the devil, but we'll say speaking of the devil here, Tilray, trying to push up right now. Tilray has been a fantastic swing trade. You can't say it's the devil, but pushing up nicely right now, broke over that 60 and teasing 61 for right now. Just pretty expensive. It's more of a swing trade at this point than a day trade for me. The Clover, again, same thing though, just very spread out order book. We talked about that just before. RKDA, familiar name to a small degree. Bioscience stock trying to make a small squeeze back up to its highs. Still has a ways to go. Trying to break over 550, it looks like. I mean, really, this peak at first, then 550. It's like kind of building this like pennant pattern here so far. Looks pretty active, though. It's trading about like 12, 13,000 shares per minute. I don't mind slipping this to the side list and just coming back to this at the very end. Looks pretty good. The more I watch this, the more I might just like put this on the main list here. Let's just finish up though. We'll see what else is out there. Got the Zine trade, the Tilray trade. My scanner's reset as usual. AESE, TRXC, Plum or PLUM, however you may phrase that. A lot of familiar names left here. PULM, kind of a low volume, spotty run up, at least just until the pop and drop from 3. TRXC looks good. I like this one here. Building up beautifully up towards the highs right now, up towards 638. Not much of an order on the ask there. Really, if anything, you can see it's like 626, 627-ish. I would double check just to make sure, see if there's anything that pops up on the order book. Otherwise, it's listed through the Amex, exchange. So there might be something through a different ECN or through the Amex itself that's going to be, standing out as an iceberg. So that's something just to keep in mind. But this trade definitely I like. Cool. The AYRO. So we were talking about like pot stocks, blockchain, Bitcoin stocks, and then, and cryptocurrency too. But, then the EV sector ended up making a nice push yesterday. The AYRO took off. I don't know what happened here as far as news. I didn't check Benzinga yet on that, but we called it out off the pop. Go to Benzinga Pro here, just double check. Whole bunch of stuff here. All right, I'll blast it on social media. I'm not going to really recite it, read it, but I'll just show as to why this AYRO trade ended up making the push that it made. There we go. So popped up nicely, got halted at 850, reopened up much higher, and still pushed up towards essentially 10. Then a pop and drop from there. So at this point, it seems pretty weak, just comparative to the run from pop from earlier. Definitely, again, kind of like I said before with some of the other trades, great side list stock for the remainder of this week. Certainly for tomorrow morning, I'll look at this right away in pre-market just to see where it's at. If it's up big, down big, if there's a lot of volume and activity on the chart. If not, probably not trade it, but at least just check in with it. I'll hop over to the losers list in a moment, folks. If there's anything else that's up, certainly just type it in the chat boards here. Got the fun trade. Check that one out. Ooh, nice pop. Good timing here. There we go. I didn't check in with the signals page from Benzinga, so I'm just looking right now and fund, and the ping for that too. All right, cool. So yeah, the fun trade looking great. I have to say it. I'm sorry. The fun trade's looking like a lot of fun. There we go. All right, so the fun trade we're going to put on our list: tight spreads, cheapy. Beware of the pop and drop. Beware of the volume dying off. We've seen this happen all the time on this trade. So obviously, as you can see, it's happening right now as we speak. From the high there, 327, shaken down hard to 310. But definitely for the meantime, I'll slip this on our main list. All right, cool. Let's hop over to the losers list, folks. Once again, it's like insanity, but in a good way. The markets are up. Markets dumped off hard today, but recovered and pretty much back to where they were prior to the dump off. So markets are up today one more time. So I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot on the losers list that looks great, unless if there's anything off of like bad earnings. But PBLA super flat. Eesh. Nothing going on there. MicroStrategy, one of my favorite companies. I'm not in them on a swing trade, although I wish I was. At this point, certainly. I mean, this was moving with Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy. Dived off big today, Bitcoin. Hasn't popped back up with it yet, though. You got the OCGN, great side list stock. We'll see where it's at. This could have been a great short from earlier today. If anyone jumped in on the short, not right away from the market open, but really later on once it rebroke support here off 11, dropped beautifully, held it essentially as resistance, dropped down lower. I mean, really good stock to keep in mind day to day. And I say that just given the move that we had from the end of last week, then from Monday this week. I mean, just for as much as it went up, you knew that it was going to come back down. And if it was shortable, then that's definitely a great opportunity to think about in pre-market. All right. I think that's just about it, folks. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, 10% or more, just type it in the chat boards. Let me know otherwise here. Got from Wendy, OGI seems strong. Again, good side list stock, moving up with the pot sector slowly. I just feel like Kronos, the SNDL are sharper right now. Kronos is at the highs of the day right now. I ended up making that pop from the early afternoon. You might think this is the high of the day. This is the pre-market high here, which could still act as resistance, but high of the day today, 569 right there. So hopefully all of the others just move up nicely, right? If that's the case, and if you're trading OGI, pretty much regularly now, and you do well on it, then just put it on your personal list. Then at that point, JMPR JUPW pop. I thought that was JMPR later. That goes to show how bad my trader's dyslexia is, right? or maybe I just quickly looked at that. But yeah, pop, drop, just not a whole lot of volume there, really. Not a fan. If it ends up filling in more on the order book and then moving back up towards maybe like 780-ish, then I would love to reconsider. But and then from Ron, I'm going from bottom to top. Actually, I'm kind of jumping all over. RAD. Ooh, up 15, 16% pretty much. I missed this one from before. I don't know if this has to do with the vaccines going into retail pharmacies. Saw some news on that earlier in relation to Walmart. One of us was asking about Walmart earlier, and I just kind of went on benzing. I told that to him. So yeah, I mean, a really nice run up today. Don't get me wrong. Just I would probably call this more of like a level 3 to 4 stock based on the liquidity on the spread. So I'll put this on the main list. You know, we're pretty familiar with Rite Aid at least. Question on YouTube. I like this one, so we're gonna post it up here on the feed. So, is holding SNDL overnight wise tonight from your experience? So, this is where I'll say I'm not certified, licensed to tell you specifically what to do, like to when or where to buy or sell. That's not what we do here in our trading room. What we do is we follow the smart money. We interpret what the order book looks like, and we try and follow things level by level and day to day. So as far as the swing trade, the stock's already moved up like close to 300% over the last 3 days. You know, maybe long term it's going to be, you know, continuing to move up, but you have to expect for it to drop. If you're in from like 293, and if it doesn't break higher heading into the close, as much as we would hope for it to, well, if you happen to see a lot of profit taking, you might happen to see this really dump off before it ends up breaking higher later on. So just be very mindful of that, and that's all I could say there. All right, we got a couple of us live inside our cyber group room here that are very bullish on this SNDL, thinking that it could go up, you know, perhaps towards like 10 down the line. Not to say tomorrow, but you know, we'll see. I mean, the pod sector keeps going, right? So why wouldn't you think that it can't keep going? All right, folks, we'll check in with the blockchain stocks, Riot, Mara, and then I think I said RKDA. Yeah, I'll give you my old line here back from when Riot was like a $4, $5, $6, $7 stock. Even though it's super volatile now and can provide good opportunity, I always say it. These trades aren't really good afternoon trades. They normally have not been. So, you know, there's been egg on my face maybe like once or twice out of the last 3-4 months of saying that. And that's fine. That's a pretty good statistic. So, yeah, with Riot looking the way it is right now, I'm not going to like really focus on this as much. I'd say the same with Mara. You know, if Bitcoin takes off overnight or rebounds, then I would expect for Riot and Mara to move up with it. RKDA trying to move up towards that 550. All right, I'll kind of put this on here. I'd like that pop, and we were kind of watching it just before. We got a stock. I don't know if this is a ticker, OPEN. Big iceberg at 34. Nah, I mean, it's moving up a little bit there. I don't know what the company is, but don't get me wrong. And it is tradable. It looks like the spreads are kind of tight. Not too expensive, right? But this is where I'd say on something like this, nothing really too much to write home about on this just yet. So keep it on the side for right now, Terry, and then maybe in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if there's a more convincing move on this trade, then at that point I'd focus on it more. All right, folks, so all in all, we have a pretty good list. We started off really nice, at least. So I love the Zion trade, the SNDL still, the Kronos moved up nicely as I was, you know, talking. Hopefully the IGC could be a nice run once again like it was back in 2018. You know, there's a lot to work with heading into the close. So all in all, we have 2, 4, 6, 8. And then if there's anything else, we'll try and rescan the market in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, see what else we have for the market close. All right, for all of us on social media, yet another reminder coming up this coming Tuesday now, I'll say at this point. Coming up on Tuesday the 16th, we are doing our weekly Traders Talk workshop. We only do this probably like 3 times throughout the entire year. The entire calendar year, we'll be hosting it on YouTube. So feel free to join. That'll be a free event for you folks on YouTube there. So I'll keep reminding everybody throughout this week and going into Tuesday. Keep in mind also for all of us live inside the trading room, all of us on social media, I'll keep saying this here as well. But Monday, President's Day, market closed. Just simple as that, right? Just want to remind everybody of that. So going into next week, we'll be doing our Traders Talk workshop that Tuesday. All right. So for all of us on social media, feel free to join us. Otherwise, inside our cyber group room Monday to Friday. For all of us there, give me a quick sec, refill up the water. I'll jump back on the mic at 3 p.m. Take care.